23, 16, 07, and 44.95. All right, market here getting a little buoyant here all of a sudden right here and right before the opening. I don't know what news came out. Try to see if there was anything that hit the market as far as any levels. I mean, as far as any numbers are concerned. 8:15 was industrial production, but this move there happened here at 8:25. So no idea what came out there. Consumer sentiment coming out here at 9 o'clock could be a little bit of a market mover. So no idea what came out there. Bonds, well, the bonds have been, 19 handle. So they were yesterday. They traded down. Bond market did, and we traded up. So whatever correlation there are with the bond market rates are going up, at least as somewhat, but it hasn't deterred the stock market from continuing its push back up to these highs. I mean, at the end of the day, we are kind of range bound in this 45 handle, kind of. Gets tighter during the day. And this right now, whatever move is happening now is the bond market didn't do anything. They rallied. Didn't do anything for this little equity move. So we'll see. But I think the bond market has already discounted. I don't know what they've discounted because they're talking about the next meeting that they're not going to be raising. I think it's pretty much consensus that that's happening. Maybe it's oil that's creating this little push here. Oil keeps going up to above $90 a barrel now. But we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, all we care about is volatility and opportunity. It doesn't really matter what's going on long term. We can look at the bigger picture and talk about it, but as far as trading every day on an individual basis, we are just kind of waiting to see what the market gives us, what opportunity they are, using our levels that we just gave out. In addition, any price action opportunities that might occur. Combination of both of those gives us our setups for today. And we're probably looking about 4 to 5 trades a day in the morning hours to give us those opportunities. So patience is important. We've been getting them lately. I think the markets have been quiet but moving. Those rally markets, as you can see yesterday afternoon, get really very difficult for us to trade, and you have to be very careful, especially in the afternoon. I mean, really, the afternoon gets the ranges get tight, and now there's not much ebbs and flows. It's more one-way trade than anything else. So you have to keep that in mind if you are trading, especially if you're going to stay and trade late in the afternoon. And then you never know when they break one way or the other, and they kind of keep going with it. It's always that one-way trade that catches you. So we try to stay away from that. All right, we're coming back down here, a little support down at the 31 area. Got down here to 34, popped it back up a little. We're going to repeat the lows in the chat in just a moment. And they'll be up in the chat box as we continue to downtick, looking at the 31 area. There they are. Those are the levels that we're going to focus in on. You can see the 29 area, 29, 30 area there in our green band. And these levels are areas. Remember that. We're not going to be perfect here as far as levels are concerned. So scaling in is an option that should be considered if you can manage it with your risk tolerance. So we'll see what it wants to do when it comes down here. We have consumer confidence, which is a pretty big number that might come and affect the market. So we'll see. We'll see where that takes us. We're just kind of hanging here on these lows. We're looking at the 31 area as a level that we are going to be focused in on. 31, you can see our green band in the 30 area there in our hourly. So a couple areas there to kind of focus in on. We'll see if it wants to give us an opportunity there or not. And again, we are scalping and we're also using our stops. We're looking for about 2 to 3 points on our trades. Depending on volatility, that could change, as you know, as we come down here, and we're just kind of hanging right now. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. And we do have consumer confidence coming out here at the top of the hour, so we shall see if that gives us some volatility. And again, we don't like to have a position on when numbers are released. Wait for the volatility to play itself out, and if it's you know, bad enough number where we're going to get some opportunity to trade, we'll trade the after effect. But having a position on when you're when the number is released, especially and if it gets a little volatile, usually gets us in the wrong position. To be honest with you, how many times have I had a position on and thinking, "Oh, okay, I'm good," and all of a sudden, wait, it wasn't supposed to go that way. It's supposed to go the other way. And we're kind of hanging here on the low. That's the oil prices have crossed the $90 a barrel mark for the first time since November of 22, sending ripples through many parts of the economy. There are a variety of reasons for the upward climb, most notably the recent production cuts by Saudi Arabia and Russia. But nobody's buying Russia's oil, so why is there production cuts? No, well, what is important? But the pace at which oil is ascending is becoming a bigger topic of conversation. After remaining below $80 for most of the year, WTI broke above the level in the summer and then soared over 17% over the past 3 weeks, helping it to raise costs on everything from transportation to manufacturing. Resurgency energy prices have particularly headache for the Federal Reserve, which has recently celebrating some wins on inflation front. In fact, U.S. consumer prices in August rose by their most in more than a year, driven by 11% increase in retail gasoline prices. The weakness in China's economy has also thought to sap oil demand, but supply appears to be a bigger problem, with oil and gas companies quick to point out the regulatory restrictions on their sectors. And as we come back down here to the lows, just kind of hang in here. We'll get the 31 areas. Our next area we'll be looking at. Auto workers have gone on strike against the Detroit 3, which could also add to some volatility here in the equity market at some point. After employees' 4-year contract with the company that expired at midnight, around 13,000 auto workers went on strike at 3 factories owned by GM, Ford, and Stellantis, marking the first time ever simultaneous strikes occurred in the United States. 3 automakers. The walkout will halt production of the popular vehicles models, including Ford Bronco, Jeep Wrangler, sending the shares of the Detroit 3 into the red before the bell. Some analysts expect the UAW companies to meet in the middle, but warn that the latest spectacle of angry employees and frustrated executives provide a solid reason to avoid the Detroit industry. Yeah, good idea. Yeah, well, it's getting a new low here by a couple ticks. We're looking at still the 31 area. You have a number coming out here at 9 o'clock. We'll repeat the levels in the chat, please. We'll repeat the levels here in a minute in the chat. To you. Number here at 9. All right, down ticking here a little bit, coming down to the 31 area there. Our pivot this morning is 45.38. Support down here at 31, 23, 16, 07, and 44.95. Upside resistance at 46, 56, 64, 74, and 83. All right, coming down here to, we talked about 31, so we got down there to 30.25. We have our green band and hourly coming in there around that level, so a couple areas of support. You know, we're trying to do scalp the market here for a couple points. Bonds are now reacting, pushing to the downside. Again, you got to keep your stops in place here. We're not going to blow any trade we put on. And in the market, if you don't like the price section, giving you choices here. If you can scratch a couple of them. If you don't like the price section, giving you a choice. Don't have to put on a trade and just either get stopped out or go for a profit target. There are choices, take a little bit of a profit because you don't like the price action, and or minimize your risk by cutting down a number of contracts and leaving something on. Either way, it's choices that you have. We did get that down to that 30 area as well, which is what I was suggesting to do with the green band there. So we've got a nice here rotation up to 32 against 30. Trying to give us a little more of a push. You can definitely take some profits there. If you did get in there at 30, again, there was a good reason to get in there at 30 as well, with the downside support area. We got up there to 32, take some profits off. I mean, we put out the levels and then you have to adjust them to the price action and some of the other contributing factors that we have in the market, like our green bands and our blue bands, and any price action opportunities that might occur once the market paints some bars. So those might change. The levels are there, and we can tweak those a little bit, adjust them, and this is a perfect example of trying to tweak it just a little bit to the what the market was showing us. Again, we got up to the 32 against the 30 there, and there's a good reason to get into the 30 by adjusting your entry point there just a little bit for reasons we talked about. And if you do still have it, anything below 28.5, you want to be out of the longs. All right, next downside support is down at the 23 area. Yeah, whatever created that little push here just before the market opening is continuing to push here to the downside. Now we do have a number coming out here at the top of the hour. We'll see what that gives us. Again, we had choices there against the 31. We suggested maybe getting in a little bit better than that because of the market price action. So we're able to adjust there a little bit. Maybe take got up to 32 and change up there, and maybe take something off the table. And now we start kind of under a little bit of pressure. Resistance right now would be around the 40, no, 40 area. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. All right, just kind of hanging here on these lows. Little resistance around the 38.40 here, which is our pivot. Again, if anybody has any questions, we are waiting for opportunities to trade, but we have to wait for areas to get triggered for us to get long or short. We just don't trade for trading's sake. We had to work this 30 area here, 31 area here a bit. It wasn't clean cut like we would like it, but it wasn't. I think we gave you choices as to how to manage those a little bit, and everybody here, trades those choices differently. I was just suggesting different ideas around these areas. All right, kind of staying here on these lows. We have um, our number coming out here in about 4 minutes. That could be some volatility. Downside support is down at the 23. We got down to 27, but we so more numbers going to bring us. But whatever you do, make sure you keep your stop at place, especially if you're going to have put a number or put something on when the number's released. Well, we talk about a level gets triggered, could run through, could not, but at least it's not a position when the number is released. So two different things, right? We'll see here if we get to 23 here before there's a nice 500 out there at 25. It's gonna hang in there. I'm still looking at the 23 area. Yeah, the market was very, very quiet until uh, just there's really I got no news here. It's fine, and then a little bit of a move there. I'm sorry, 23. There's a 23. Did I say 26? Sorry. Now it continues down tick. All right. Number coming out here in a couple minutes. You'll see. I think you'll see, especially with this number, that it's going to be on the ladder ticket will get lightened up like it is kind of right now, except for that 500 lot there at 25. He's still hanging in there, and you can see they got 300 of it, and he's still showing 25. So there's a little bit more than 500 behind that. As the market gets a little jittery here into this number that's going to be released here. We have a bond dome that's really lightened up. There's hardly anything there, and S&P's here. There's no 100 lots now, as you can see up and down the ladder ticket. So something's up. Right now, resistance still around at 40. If we get back up there, 38.40, which is our pivot to 38. And downside, we're looking at 23, but like I said, be a little bit careful here. This number is going to be released soon. Oh, a little jittery. You always know when numbers released and this stuff happens. A little resistance up at the 40 area. Oh, look at bonds even rallying on this one. That's why you can never, they have a downward push. You're thinking everybody's going to get short there, and then all of a sudden, boom, They pop it back up. They caught everybody short. Now you get this extended rally. We're looking at around the 38 area. If we get up there, 38 to 40, if a little resistance. All right, the orders are slowly drifting back in the market here. You can see 70s, 80s, soon to be hundreds back in there. Again, took a little bit of time, but you always could tell. If you don't know that a number was going to be released and you see the ladder ticket or the dome or whatever you want to call it getting lightened up a little bit there, uh, and you know that there's something going on. We got up to 35, and we talked about a little resistance around 38 to 40. Our pivot there at 38, up to 40, but didn't get there. All right, so just kind of drifting around here a little bit. We're just kind of drifting back down to these um, lows a little bit. We got up to right there, 34 and change. We're looking at the 38 to 40 area as a little resistance to get up there. All right, a little resistance around 38 to 40 area here if we get back up there.
Bonds pushed back up to the highs here on the consumer confidence number. Probably not a good number. Bad is good these days. Well, I mean, I don't, only because I don't know. I don't have any expectations coming into the day, so I never know uh, if we're going to be busy or not. That way, I don't press my trading to have to trade because I have to make a certain number. So that just came from many years of going on the floor because we just never know when we're going to have a good day or a bad day, or how much money we're going to make that day or not. So I never, and again, I don't look at it as percentages for my account because I'm taking money out of my account for my living expenses. So my account is always going to vary, and so I'm not. It's not something that I owe. A lot of people are hooked up on, oh, what's your percentage? Well, if I had 100,000, if I made $100,000 last year, I took it all out, and then I start again next year, and I make another $100,000. What does that mean? Did I make 100%? Did I make from my start? If I had $10,000 in there to start, did I make 1,000%? I mean, what does that mean? To me, it doesn't. It's ridiculous because it's. I don't know. I mean, everybody looks at numbers and wants to quantify stuff, but for me, I'm not quantifying it because it's not how I trade it. So if I get busy and I have 5-6 trades a day, great. If we're not doing much and I have one trade a day, well, unfortunately, it's one trade a day. It doesn't. I'm not going to start trading because I didn't make. Let's say my goal was $500. I didn't make my $500 on my one trade, so I'm going to keep trading. It's that doesn't. So I can make $200 today and $600 tomorrow if the opportunities are there. Okay, that's fine. Again, like I said, the goal here is not to trade. The goal here is to make money. And then, so I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, good. So if you trade a lot and you're just trading for trading's sake because you know you feel like you have to make $500 or whatever, and you made 400, that's you most of the time you're going to get yourself in trouble. So do you position trade? Not really. I my I guess I call him a mentor, but one of the great traders early on when I was starting to trade. He goes, there's plenty of opportunities to scalp the market during the course of a day, and there is. I mean, depending on how aggressive you want it to be and how many trades you want to put on, and what. Yeah, even if it's slow. I mean, when it's slow, it's a little bit different. But he said, really, there's no reason to have a position trade on because, especially overnight, because you never know what's gonna. Especially these days, and we were talking about 2 years back when news wasn't so available to everybody right away. So things were a little bit different, but um, unless you're going to have a life-changing experience when you have a position on, like maybe you trade 1,000 lot, if you can, there's no reason to have a position. I mean, first of all, you need to sleep. Even during the day, you're always like walking back and forth and looking at it and adjusting maybe your stops or not. And I like my sanity a little bit. So position trading is there. Look, a lot of people do it. There's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just, uh, you know, like the knowing what I did, and usually, again, the problem with these position trades sometimes is that you get yourself in a position and you trade that bias, right? Now it's good if it's going your way, but if you're short, you get stopped out. Your next trade is probably going to get short again because you're thinking, well, you position trade the first time to be short, so you're thinking, okay, well, I sold tens, I'm going to like to sell 20s, and then at some point you're going to, well, I like to sell 30s. When does it stop, right? And the market's going up, so it's one of those things that I try to stay away from as far as mindset is concerned. But I mean, again, a lot of people position trade, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Just not comfortable with it because I could never get my bias out of my mind. I don't know if that makes sense, because we try not to come in with a bias here. That keeps me trying to buy support and sell resistance no matter where they are, and I'm not trying to hit home runs. And that way, I stay out of the bias that can create, um, you know, the wrong trade the whole day. But like I said, absolutely, a lot of great traders have positions on their position trade. And again, it's a certain type of mentality, yeah, that you need. And if you have it, that's fantastic. All right, as you can see, we're coming back down here to these lows, revisiting the lows here, that 25 lot, that 500 lot there at 25 got filled, I guess, because there's 800 traded down there. Let's see. And we're still looking at the 23 area below. In regards to that position trade situation, let's say I see there's definitely, the guy's definitely buying more than, there's 1,200 traded, 1,300 traded there. He's got an orders behind sitting there that are getting filled. I don't know at what point he's going to stop, but every time it goes down to zero, another order comes in there. So again, we're looking at the 23 area. Of course, it got down to 24 and a quarter. So be a little bit careful there. The market is under a little bit of pressure here. Let's see what it wants to do here against the 23. We're still on the same bar here, so keep that in mind if you're going to keep 24 in there. Oh, wow, another big order on the 24. Wow, look at that. 1,700 traded. I mean, he is just somebody's two times. That's a great. Hope you got in there, because somebody's doing some buying in there. Did some buying at 25. Did some more buying here at 24. See what it wants to do. Coming down here to our 23 now. Somebody's doing some buying there, those levels, quietly. All right, coming down here to the 23 area. A lot of pressure still on the market, though. That's the other thing. Make sure you keep your stops in place. We're not loving any trade we put on, even though there's some good buying there and there's better selling, as you can see. And again, you have choices here. If you don't like the price action, giving you choices to get out of some. All right, getting a nice little pop back up here. I think those buying down there is going to push us up a little bit higher. I think. Again, I'm thinking that's a bad thing. Just remember that. Just take some profits along the way. That's all I'm trying to do here. All right. All right, giving us at least 3 points here. Nice little trade there against that 23 area. Again, if you were looking at the price action, there was a lot of buying there at 25. There was a lot of buying there at 24. And we had 23, dipped down to 21 there, and then pop back up here, suggesting maybe because of that buying, maybe we can pop back up a little bit. Again, that was just looking at the price of what was being traded. And we're getting a nice little bit of a rotation here. So in regards to this position trading situation, this is where I would like, if I got in there and I want to have like one or two contracts left over, I would put my stuff there below 20, see if I can get back up to, well, 30 would be a good out. But I've already taken some profits here and I'm not going to lose any money on the trade. Let's put it that way. Okay. So just if you have extra contracts that you can uh, trade off of, and if you're trading multiple contracts, if you're trading one contract, that's nothing wrong with that. So you're able to take a nice little rotation here. Now, remember, we did say that we have to expand our stops based on volatility. We've gotten a little bit buoyant here to the downside, so your stops definitely have to be the 3 to 4 point range, given what's going on in the market at this moment, right? We're just starting to move a little bit, so keep that in mind that you definitely have to adjust to volatility, and you do achieve volatility when the markets downtick. They seem to be going down a lot faster when they go down. They go down, so you have to adjust your stops accordingly to what the market is kind of telling you, and so definitely going at least 3 to 4 points on our stops here. That way, it'll keep you in the game because, like I said, there was a lot of buying right down there, and just had to get through that little push to the downside, and then they rallied it back up. All right. Again, like I said, if you're going to position, this is how sometimes you can get yourself into a nice entry point with the, um, and then kind of play it into a position trade type of trade here, where you can set a target. I'm looking at a target with a first target would be 30, and our next one would be our pivot there at 38. But we needed our levels to give us that opportunity, an entry point, a good entry point, and then you can tell yourself, all right, well, I got in, market rotated, take some profits, and whatever you got left over, you can kind of position trade. But I use it off of our levels, so in case I don't know if that makes sense, Daniel. But waiting for a good entry point or finding that entry area, and again, I'm not trying to get short or long or have a position that way, but the market right now is giving me that opportunity based on the price action, and so I'll stick with it. Now, later on, I could want to stay short, get short because the market told me that, and maybe that'll be my position. So you can incorporate. My point is you can incorporate position trading into what we're doing by getting a good entry point, letting the market take some profits, let the market go your way, and then if you have any contracts left over, kind of position trade that the leftover contracts. All right. So nice little pushback up here. Again, the only reason that I even said any of this stuff was because of the buying that was down there, and it was kind of quietly done, behind the scenes kind of trade. But and the only way you could tell that is if you look at the prices that were the actual trades that were that traded at each price. So somebody asked about do I look at volume. So that's one way how I look at volume and see what's going on in the market and kind of help us with this position that we were getting us long there, maybe taking a little bit more than 3 or 4 points on our trades. And again, you have to expand your stops here because all of a sudden we've gotten some push to the downside, creating opportunities. And the volatility to the downside is, you have to keep yourself in the game here by expanding your stops just a touch. All right. They get right up to 29 and change there. We're hoping we'll get 30. Maybe you took some, peeled some off there. Yeah, right up to 29.75. And again, another way of having this position is maybe having a trailing stop. If it rotates back 3 or 4 points, you get out. Um, Trailing stop, I should say, not rotating stop, trailing stop. All right. So again, we kind of held your hand through some of these moves here. least we're getting some moves, right? That's a good thing. Nothing wrong with uh, market moving down to a level and giving us our opportunity to trade, or it could be up to a level, but patience was important. And hopefully you were able to stay a little bit patient there and take advantage of a little bit of a move here. As we continue to downtick now, and we're looking at 16 as the next support level. All right, you can see we're coming back down here. And again, flat now, at least I am. And we'll see the next level on the downside there is the 16 area. All right, again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat. We don't mind questions. All right, coming back here to lows. Looking at 16, there's our next area of focus. All right. Again, just kind of hanging here on these lows that they kind of figured out. And we'll see where it wants to go next. Little resistance would still be around the 38 to 40 area, at least for the time being. I think we get above 41, 42, we might go retest those upper levels, which would be 46 areas next, but ways from there, we'll see what happens. All right. Again, if anybody has any questions, good time to ask. Things have slowed down here a little bit. All right, looks like we're a little bit range bound here. All right, they are just kind of hanging on these lows. Looking at the 16, the next support level that we have, little resistance right now. I'll be around the 35 area. Alrighty, just kind of hanging here on these lows. Next support level I was down at 16. Patience is very important. Waiting for opportunities to present themselves important. Flat, and we'll see where we go next. I get back here in just a bit. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat.
Hey, quick sound check for Silvio H. Hey, Silvio, you're back. Let me know in chat. Robert, Philip, Ratio, Lana, AKG, welcome back. Dudley, Ash. It's great. I posted the opportunity to sign up for the service, so take a moment when you're ready and sign yourself up. That are looking for private coaching, make sure you're signed up for this service, this trade along first. And then let me know in chat and I can send you out the information. If you're looking to qualify for a funded account, ask also, but make sure you're signed up for this service first. Use the links in there. It's discounted at the moment. Self-explanatory. Appreciate you being here. If you like what we're doing, tell your friends. eminitradealong.com, eminitradealong.com.